Hi, it's Monday, and welcome to Rising. We have such an interesting show planned for you today. Hello, Briahna.
Hello, Robby.
How was your trip to New York City, this smoke-plagued hellscape over the weekend?
I think that when I got there on Thursday, it was about equally as bad as it was here. And then Friday, everything cleared up, so we don't have to worry about raging fires, dry seasons, environmental warming, or anything.
Great. I didn't want to worry about it anyway.
Jeez Louise.
Why don't you tell us what's going on?
Well, in the real world, MSNBC's Rachel Maddow suggested that the Biden Department of Justice should drop charges against the former president, Donald Trump, in exchange for his dropping out of the 2024 election. Let's watch.
You have to wonder if the Justice Department is considering whether there is some political solution to this criminal problem, whether part of the issue here is not just that Trump has committed crimes, but that Trump has committed crimes and plans on being back in the White House. Do they consider, as part of a potential plea offer, something that would proscribe him from running for office again? I don't know.
I would imagine if anything like that happened, that it would have to come from the defense side of the negotiation, that the Trump team would say, oh, by the way, and with this, we will also, drop out of the race for president. Otherwise, it would put the Justice Department in this position that Donald Trump claims they're in. He claims they're trying to stop him, simply trying to stop him from becoming president again. And that's the only reason they're doing this. So my guess, given those dynamics and the change, I think, in the way the Justice Department sees this in those 50 years since Spiro Agnew, it just seems unlikely that they would reach into the political zone.
Meanwhile, former U.S. Attorney General William Barr said his former boss is toast if the charges against him are true.
What the government was really worried about were these classified and very sensitive documents. I was shocked by the degree of sensitivity of these documents and how many there were, frankly. And so the government's agenda was to get those, protect those documents and get them out. And I think it was perfectly appropriate to do that. It was the right thing to do. And I think the counts under the Espionage Act that he willfully retained those documents are solid counts. Now, I do think we have to wait and see what the defense says and what proves to be true. But I do think that even half what Andy McCarthy said, which is if even half of it is true, then he's toast. I mean, it's a very detailed indictment. And it's very, very damning. And this idea of presenting Trump as a victim here, a victim of a witch hunt, is ridiculous.
Now, in an interview with Roger Stone, former President Trump hit back at Barr. Let's watch.
The disgrace, and virtually everybody other than a lowlife like Bill Barr, who as you know, I terminated because he was gutless. He wouldn't do what you're supposed to do. But everybody says this is a disgraceful indictment. It shouldn't happen. It was done for political reasons, but it was also done, I guess, to cover up the kind of a massive crime that's now being revealed by the Republicans in the House. It's incredible when you look at what happened, when you look at the kind of money that flows into the Biden family and to Joe Biden, by the way. And so they wanted to do a distraction. They'll probably come up with a jaywalking charge on Hunter in the not too distant future, a very small charge, so they can say, well, it's fair. But this is a very unfair situation.
All right, 3 very different clips, so let's take them one at a time. First, Maddow and O'Donnell. I like that he almost pulled her back from the brink a little bit there. She was very much saying the quiet part out loud to me.
It's a stunning admission.
Salivating over the idea that the Justice Department, in the course of reaching some deal with Trump, could prohibit him from running for president. That's giving away the game. That's exactly what liberal resistance type people, maybe some of the people watching her there, want. I'm not sure. She's probably torn between wishing that somehow law enforcement would forbid Donald Trump from running again, and knowing that the best thing for like MSNBC's ratings is for Trump to run and be president again. I don't know, but that is playing into exactly the fear that Republicans, conservatives are feeling and voicing, which is that this is explicitly political. This is an effort to stop him from pursuing the presidency again, a question that should be decided by voters and the American people, not by the FBI, not by the Justice Department, not by the Espionage Act.
Yeah, because remember, over the broader issue here is that there is prosecutorial discretion with respect to when to bring these kinds of cases. And what conservatives have been saying for a long time is that prosecutorial discretion was deployed very differently in the case of Hillary Clinton than it was to Donald Trump. Now, substantively, they have chosen to use a higher charge for Donald Trump and charge him with willful withholding of documents, mishandling of the documents, which does distinguish the case from Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, Mike Pence, and the rest. But the choice to apply the higher charge so that they can make the case that they've distinguished it against the others is, again, playing into this narrative that they are structuring the case in a way to make sure that they have an excuse for not going after the people that they didn't need to prevent from getting in the White House. And they are going after the guy who they are saying out loud they really do want to prevent from getting back into the White House. Now, substantively, I will say also, people like Alan Dershowitz have been making the case that using the Espionage Act in particular is broadly damaging. It's an act that was a law passed by Woodrow Wilson in an effort to, it has been deployed. It was an effort to go after people who were wanting to defect from World War I, et cetera, but has been deployed and expanded over the years to go after political dissidents, a lot of left-leaning people, et cetera. And it is a law that liberals historically have been very disapproving of and critical of. Now, of course, when it's been being used politically in a way that's advantageous to the broad interest of the Democratic Party, everyone's looking the other way and not thinking about how this could lead to a world where increasingly political foes are being targeted with crimes that historically have been treated as much less significant, misdemeanor-style crimes, document management crimes that nobody actually thinks are quote-unquote espionage or threats to the republic in any meaningful way. And that's a place. Is that a place where we want to go? Politically, you get your enemy by throwing them in jail as opposed to beating them at the ballot box.
Absolutely. The Espionage Act is something that you're right to note many progressives, civil libertarians have complained about. Many libertarians have complained about. Former Libertarian Representative Justin Amash was tweeting that he opposes any prosecutions being brought under the Espionage Act as just a matter of principle because it has been used against whistleblowers. Being used in cases, again, no actual espionage is being alleged here. Trump did not hand the documents over to a foreign power or anyone else specifically for any reason.
This is the problem. And this is, again, Alan Dershowitz points to this as Trump's biggest concern. The tape recording that we have now the transcript of, in which he is giving an interview germane to somebody else's book that's being written, where we talked about this last week or the week before, he's making the case that he's not the one that was a warmonger, and he's pointing to a document that supports his case. And he explicitly makes reference to the document, seems to be showing the document. It's not clear if he actually showed it and he gave it over, if he just kind of waved it in the air performatively. That's going to make a big difference in terms of the outcome of this case. But he says in that moment, I could have classified these when I was president, but I didn't. Declassified these, right. So that's where we get to the knowing choice not to give in these documents.
Right, that's about keeping the documents. He's in those remarks, he specifically doesn't show them the documents or doesn't hand them over.
Well, we don't know. We don't know what he did in the moment because it's just an audio recording.
Right, but I think that recording is being used to prove that he knew retaining the documents was wrong. Not that he actually showed them, but it shows the mens rea of the crime, that he knew he was not allowed to have those documents.
That's how you get that willful distinction. Now, that is a meaningful distinction. Now, whether or not the fact that he willfully and purposefully withheld the documents should mean that he goes to jail or that that's used as a political cudgel is a different conversation. But I do think that some conservatives who are framing this as though Trump and Hillary and Pence and Biden all did the exact same thing. They did not all do the exact same thing. And but for some of the hubris of Donald Trump in that moment and perhaps some other moments, he would not be as vulnerable to the charges that he's being.
Well, and that brings us to the second clip, to what Bill Barr was saying, which is that this is kind of a fairly simple situation, that Trump very much brought on himself by not giving the documents back over. As you explained, that's what distinguishes this from the other cases. Now we have all the basically all the elected Republican officials, except for Mitt Romney, lining up to defend Trump, saying this is all politicized, pointing to the unfairness, pointing to a bunch of things. I sense on Twitter, I can sense like a little bit of, like, the first level is defend Trump at all costs, weaponized federal law enforcement, et cetera. Beneath that, I think I can detect a little bit of simmering resentment that Trump, for no good reason, for no benefit whatsoever to anyone, has put conservatives in the position of having to deal with this for no reason. It's just a totally self-inflicted wound that Trump caused, that that another political figure would not have gotten himself into this level of trouble. Even another Republican person would not. And it was unnecessary. It's for no reason. It was serving no policy goal. It was not. It's needless, and I think there's some frustration there. Now, whether that becomes vocal enough to become part of conservatives turning on Trump, I very much doubt it. They're all bought into defending him, and there's very much if we're going down with the ship, we're going down with the ship.
And also, I think moments like the ones we watched with Rachel Maddow. Even if you are frustrated with Trump's behavior, at a certain point, if Democrats are saying out loud that their objectives here are purely political, yes, you broke a law, but there are many laws that many presidents that we've discussed have broken. And your choice to try to indict a former president that's literally running for office on something that is as de minimis as a document management issue, using a historically anti-civil libertarian law to do so. I wonder about the balancing of that as well. Even if you are frustrated at Donald Trump, if it really does start to seem increasingly like a witch hunt, does that overcome your frustration with Donald Trump for putting you in the
yes,
position?
I think absolutely.
Right.
I think that's the top thing is defending Trump and pointing out legitimate criticisms you can make of the Espionage Act and how it can chill whistleblowers, and how, while Trump was more combative and, again, could have easily done things to avoid this trouble, why was Hillary's misdoings not treated with the same amount of seriousness by law enforcement? So I expect those to continue to be the refrain from conservatives. Even though you could, any opportunity is an opportunity like this is a chance for a Ron DeSantis or someone to say, you know what, they should throw the book at Trump and I should be the candidate instead. But that's not the strategy any of them are taking.
Yeah, and I think with good reason, at least at this point. But we'll see how this develops. We'll have more Rising for you right after this.